attack that's upon the foundations of the United States, upon all of our founding fathers, the slander, the total divorcing of this generation, let's just call it the tech generation, from historic reality, empiric reality, and history. I blame the public education because they have been used by the communist revolutionaries. You know this, that the goal was always to get a hold of a generation that within 40 years of that generation they could change the face of this nation. And I've noticed, and you can see it in the articles and everything, what we're talking now about is the virtual world versus the real world. And I'll call that empiric world. In order for Satan to control humanity that's fallen, he has to set up something totally in direct opposition to what the living God intended for us to experience. I call that empiric reality. He's also had to destroy language and interfere with communication on a personal level. So many people don't even talk anymore, even to their spouses. They text them. So all forms of continuity of thought have been and are being cut off. And so that's the great divorce, even beyond what C.S. Lewis was talking about. The implementation of the destruction of mankind is underway.
Make no mistake, the final goal is to eradicate humanity as we know it. Once you understand the final destination, it becomes much easier to look back and identify the psychological conditioning, the biological tampering, the cultural grooming, and the educational prepping that we have been subjected to for decades in preparation to making us accept a post-human future.
The number one goal in everything that Satan has done is to destroy the image and likeness of God, mankind created after, after the judgment on the world that was before, that even the disciples talk about, the golden age prior to the creation of Adam and Eve. But if you look at the plans of Satan with the fallen angels having sex with earth women, producing giants, people say, why are you on this giant thing, Quail? Because Jesus told us about the days of Noah, and they forget one word: corruption. So now we're going beyond the corruption, just sexual and the immorality and all of the demonic influence. We're going into the transhumanist movement, and we're going into singularity.
The focus of my talk today will be on the ultimate transhumanist goal, what has been termed by Ray Kurzweil, one of the leaders of the movement, as the singularity. In his book, titled The Singularity is Near, When Humans Transcend Biology, he writes, there will be no distinction post-singularity between human and machine or between physical and virtual reality. It's very important to understand that transhumanism is simply the transitional stage between humanism and post-humanism.
In essence, the powers of darkness want the last vestiges of humanity wiped out. And Jesus, if you got a problem with what I'm saying, take it up with Jesus.
It's a nice t-shirt.
Oh, thanks. I got it at my church. It's Jesus shooting Charles Darwin.
Why would Jesus want to shoot Charles Darwin?
Because of his blasphemous theories.
Because he said if the days weren't short, there'd be no flesh left alive. That's where we're at now.
It takes a lot of physical and psychological abuse to get an intelligent species like ours to agree to its own extinction. Most, if not all, that has transcended in the last 60 years was designed to get us closer to accepting such a dystopian reality.
The whole desire, the whole design is to make men God, independent of the God who created them, with no answerability or no responsibility to the former creation.
Whether you care to accept it or not, we live in a hyper-controlled matrix where our perception of reality is meticulously planned managed, and executed in order to control and steer us in whichever direction they wish.
The issue is simply this, that the headlines are happening so fast momentarily that I can't keep up with them anymore. And I believe based on Isaiah 46 that God says he is the Lord, declaring the end at the beginning, that I can follow suit. And that's what Jesus was doing in the book of Revelation. And obviously he's my example. We got to tell the things that are, which will be coming, and the things that will be hereafter. There are 3 different time periods. So what I'm saying in a long-winded way is that we simply are at that point of termination, no flesh left alive, and the contempt that these people have for God, for Jesus, and for Christians is accelerating.
I'm not comfortable with my body, so I want to get rid of it. This thing. I've become digital.
So they are on their way to total terminal extinction, and unfortunately the churches don't believe this, they don't teach it, and they're not preparing the people of God to deal with, if you will, what I would call techno-possession.
For this, they first needed to destabilize, dehumanize, and demoralize humanity through every means possible. The destruction of the nuclear family, children being indoctrinated by the state, abortion, the eradication of God and spirituality from education, life in megacities and away from nature, toxic food, air and water, social media, replacing real human connection and interaction, engineered financial crisis and taxation, endless wars and massive migration, stress, anxiety, depression, drugs and alcohol, constant fear-mongering, moral relativism as the new religion, and I could go on and on about how humanity has been influenced and forced to move away from all the things that give us strength, security, purpose, and meaning.
One of the things I really believe is that the reason there's so many lies that humanity is embracing, the lies that are being embraced by humanity are setting humanity up for the destruction. They forgot one person, Jesus, who is the way, the truth, and the light. Now look, the churches are responsible.
A weak, immoral, disconnected, ignorant, and unhealthy population is an easy target for the next stage, the creation of an entire generation of androgynous beings. Masculinity is under attack psychologically, culturally, and biologically.
Many of the famous, if you will, 150-year-old preachers would always say that if Christianity were to die in America, it would die because the pulpits are dead. That's my version. But the point being is that we're at now a total embrace by them who are claimants to Christianity of every foul and unclean spirit that has been able to deceive them because of one thing: they have denied the testimony of Jesus.
It's an evil psyop with a clear agenda to get us closer to transhumanism by making us question the most fundamental notion of human identity, our gender.
The oldest lie in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, ye shall be as gods, ye shall not surely die. The number 1 and 2 positions of the transhumanist, quoting Zoltan Isvan, which I do in my book, he said, at the heart of the matter, this paraphrasing, transhumanists want to live forever.
I want to live forever as information, because that's what transhumans are, Mom.
If you already identify as a hybrid between a man and a woman, you will be easily convinced to become a hybrid between human and machine.
I would guess Ephesians 6, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, spiritual wickedness, rulers of this present darkness, I'm just paraphrasing, is related to the very war on earth that we're now experiencing and the perversion on earth, where every boundary, and here's the key, every God-loving boundary that he created for the benefit of his creation is being distorted and destroyed in order to bring about the end of mankind.
Understanding the philosophy and the ideology behind the transhumanist movement is crucial if we're going to make the right choices as a species. Transhumanism stands on the premise that there is no God, that there is no spiritual realm, and that we possess no soul. Does anybody feel like a soulless being in this room? It is the most materialistic and Darwinian understanding of who we are. And in my opinion, it is the most reductionist and frankly insulting notion of humanity.
We now live in the context of time in which people can't embrace things they just blew off as that's too far out. Well, now the too far out is brought literally to where most people live within. Can any of you imagine meeting your own virtual entity that has been cloned that's exactly like you without the human spirit?
What do you mean, what am I doing? Splitting atoms. I'm having a smoke. What's it look like? Yeah, I can see you're having a smoke. What the hell for? What's it to you?
But your mannerisms and everything, I don't think 1 in a million people can embrace that. Yet that's where we're headed.
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. And these shield boys.
The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
I would like to solve the puzzle. I would like to solve the puzzle. I would like to solve the puzzle. I would like to solve the
Papa.